Welcome to the Roundtable Podcast, guys. I am your host, or at least at one of them anyway, right?
You're the
I'm the host, and we have the co-host
and
today
guest. Yes.
and guest. We're going to talk about the guest, our special guest. But before we get into that, we like to thank you guys for joining us. We know that it takes a minute for people to click in, and as we sharing this particular podcast, guys, we would love for you to like and share this here podcast. Guys, and is on the screen. How you can even guess what? You can even go to our website and watch this podcast live. You can go obviously to our IG. You can go to our YouTube page. And listen, show us some love by, you know, we have a real good topic today, interesting topic today, a much needed topic, I believe, today, concerning our kids, you know, our children, our you know, today.
Yes.
But before we do that, guys, we just like to say, you know, we appreciate you guys for when you tune in. I don't know, producer. I'm hearing some kickback in the audio. But anyway, you know, we're going to get into the discussion for today. But before then, we have we would like to thank our co-host and host, a lovely T, for joining us today as well as she do every Sunday. Guys, listen, we X to 4:30. You know, we just gonna kick that out of the window. I think we just need to even change the graphic card that we've never changed. That
Right.
we come on at 4:30 when we haven't in a while. So we're gonna toss that
4:30-ish.
card. Yeah, if we come on at 4:30-ish.
Right.
That's the and we really mean it too. 4:30-ish. I said 4:30. It's 4:40-ish.
Yeah.
About 4:40, 4:45 is when we actually come on, and that's going to be our new time. So for even those when this is done, the podcast get up late. They go out to about 300 to 400 people on average, even when it's downloaded and uploaded again. So just to those people, you know, we come on at 4:40, 4:45. So if you would like to join us, we would love to have you. And guys, don't be scared to leave a comment. Even after the podcast is done with, you can leave a comment. And guess what? Sometimes we might even address it when we come back on at 4:30 every Sunday. I said 4:30. See, 4:40 every Sunday. So leave a comment. We want you to participate in this pod like you do often. We no comment is disregarded unless it's just crazy, you know what I mean? But if it's but other than that, leave your comments. We love you. We thank you guys. And now we're going to get into this pod talking about, what are we talking about today, lovely Lady B? Now I want you to introduce the guest.
All right, so I'm going to introduce our guest first today. Well, first we're going to talk about what we're going to be talking about. So we're in this episode, we're going to be discussing children's mental health during COVID-19. How do we as parents help our children during this time of crisis? Children have many worries related to the consequences of COVID-19, such as whether they will see their friends and relatives, go to school, or get sick. It is often difficult for parents to calm their children's anxiety because of the uncertainties in their lives. So we're going to kind of hear, we have professional people on the panel, and we're going to just get their point of views. We're going to hear also from point of views of children by showing you guys a video. So our guest today we have Jasmine. Is it Irvin?
Irvin, yeah.
Yes. And Jasmine is a limited licensed psychologist. The teenage years are a time of great difficulty for many. It is marked by state of being a child while simultaneously being pulled in the direction of adulthood. As a therapist, Jasmine seeks to empower teens to find their own voice during this process and help them navigate through the rough landscape of adolescence. We're going to go down. Also, we have here Natasha Liggins. She is a limited licensed professional counselor. She is a domestic engineer in this role. She is a financial manager, mental health counselor, advocate, productivity manager, transportation specialist.
Wow.
She specializes in mental health counseling as well as marriage and family and parenting counseling. Thank you guys for coming on board today.
That's right.
Where's our applaud track?
I know.
I keep forgetting to do
we gotta get that.
I actually do have it on the mixing board. I need to bring it over here so I can just push the button. You're right. I keep forgetting about that. But let's go into this. Do we want to play a video? Let's get to this video.
Yeah, we can
so
play
that we can just get into what's going on with the kids as people coming on. So, producer, let's get this video playing so that we can get into this topic.
The biggest challenge for me during this time is finding the motivation to keep my sleep schedule and my work schedule consistent.
The biggest challenge for me during this time has been reaching out to people and staying connected. I always fear that that's going to be the last interaction I have with them.
There are so many things that I've wanted to do, and now I don't have an excuse not to do them.
It's challenging to focus on my schoolwork because working in my room is really distracting.
When we had school, I had a strict schedule that I stuck to every single day. And now, I don't even have a schedule at all. Because of this, I started to lose motivation to do even this little things like homework.
I'm usually really busy and I do a lot of things to have fun and keep myself motivated, and I'm really sad and disappointed to miss them.
I miss being able to go and visit my baby cousins on the holidays. And just the thought of never being able to do any of that ever again is scary.
So let's go ahead and cut it for right there for now. And we wanted to show that video just so we can get an understanding of what some kids on the outside, what they're thinking before we get into this conversation. I think just who all have kids on the panel? I didn't know who.
Well, I as a matter of fact, I'm having my son have a seat next to me.
Okay, that's good.
So that he can kind of hear the conversation. But I have a 12-year-old son.
That's right, and we also have a 15-year-old son who couldn't be here today. He couldn't be here today. And who else have any kids?
I have 5 children. They are 11, 10, 7, 3, and 2.
Okay, yeah. Okay. All right. So we understand the challenges, or we're understanding, at least trying to understand the challenges that our kids are going through during this pandemic. And I think it's a shock to our social life, you know what I mean? Where the kids and the kids have a social life, believe it or not.
Yes, they
whether
do.
They're in school, whatever it may be, or going over to friends' house. Just that closure of them not being able to go too much more so to go see, touch. I mean, you can talk to them over the phone, but it's nothing like them going and engaging in conversation on a personal level. And I don't know the terminology. That's why we have professionals here today who can kind of talk to us about these challenges that these young people are facing in this pandemic. And I think, at least in Michigan, will there be another shutdown? I mean, with the schools, are they opening back up, or are they going to wait to them getting vaccinated before they can let them back into the schools? Do anybody know that?
I believe schools. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Jasmine.
No, go ahead. I think what I heard was, go ahead. If somebody knows, I was just going to say what I heard was that certainly the governor has extended, or she can extend, but is recommending that our stay-home order go through January 12th or something like that, and then the high schools can go back. Is my understanding what I saw.
Okay. And then they're faced with the parents more so even saying, do they want their child to even go back because of them not or being afraid of them being vaccinated? That's another
So it's
challenge
another double whammy.
for the parent, and a lot of them are they entering them into online schools. You know what I mean? So that will kind of like even further that push them or put them in that shock or whatever you might want to call it. I don't know the proper terminology for it, but we do understand that it's affecting our children, and some of them don't know how to cope with it. You know, they don't know what to do. They're finding themselves being bored at home, trying to find it. And then there's a lot on the parent because the parent's trying to keep them busy because sometimes they just don't know what to do. What do? They'll turn to what? Video games, a lot of TV, which can be very unhealthy, constantly playing the same video game, watching TV all day. So you working, if you're working from home, it's a little plus, but if you're not working from home, you have to just keep the child engaged to other things so that they won't just get their mind boggled down just in video games all day. Because you can play a video game for 8 hours real quick. You know what I mean? I mean, you can get into a video game. I mean, listen, me as grown as I am, I've played them, so I know. I had to say no, but I had to cut it off to say,
control.
before you know it, it's 8 hours and passed by. You still trying to get to the next level, and that's your whole day. So what do? You go from there, you turn on the TV. You get what I mean? So let's talk, Tosh. I think you have some questions or something that we was gonna get into.
Well, no, I was just gonna kind of get like just different point of views. Or do you guys believe, just on a professional level, seeing? Do you believe that children are losing motivation to do little things like homework, chores, just different things, even from just our own, from what we've been seeing as parents, or even just viewing it on the outside or whatever? Do you think they're losing motivation in any person?
Yes, definitely. I've seen that with so many clients. It's kind of hard for them sometimes to get the motivation to continue to do the homework or to stay on track with the chores. I think the loss of structure and the loss of some of their outlets has just created a situation where folks aren't feeling motivated. That's super common.
Now, should I call you doctor?
Nope.
Don't call you doctor.
In progress. I'm a first year doctoral student.
Okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. Because what I wanted to ask now, do you think that it should be something where you have just like this online, where because they're not actually allowing them into different facilities? I don't know how that works, but should they be ready or on standby where they can actually do a Zoom meeting where you guys can talk to the kids? And you know what I mean? I don't know if insurance paid for that or how that will work, but do you think that would be a good idea that can really those who don't know how to deal with their children, you know what I mean, in this pandemic, should they have counselors or social workers, psychiatrists, somebody on standby that can help
that child
with that, with that situation?
With
what do you think about that?
Well, I know that within the schools, there's usually a counselor or social worker that's often, the first step before they get referred out for further services. So I think that if you're noticing that your child is really having a really hard time, it might be a good idea to reach out to the school counselor or school social worker. As kind of a first step.
I think to jump in and
kind of yes, please.
Answer Tony's question as well. Just as Jasmine stated, there are staff that are qualified, of course, and available to do that particular work. I'm not sure, though, if students are able to have that access to have the meetings like this. And I'm not saying that schools are not doing it, but I think to your point, that would be a great plan of action because you have students who have IEPs, you have students with different learning needs who that was one of my main concerns when we went into the pandemic, was the fear of what's going to happen with all of these students that have an IEP or have some form of learning disability and need that assistance from a social worker or a school counselor, how are they going to be serviced? Because the parents need help in that regard, right?
That's
So
right.
what exactly is happening within that dynamic? But I think to your point, that's a great, that should be a great plan of action.
So do you
I was
think,
going to jump in and just say too that the state right now has approved, at least for Medicaid, because you talked about the insurance, and so at least for Medicaid clients in the mental health system, telehealth it works well reportedly with youth, because unlike adults, as a parent, you don't want to drag your kids, or if you have therapy with one child, then you got to get the other children together to come out and go. So really what it has done, and I'll just speak for like my agency that I work for, they have seen numbers go up in terms of appointments being kept, and it's all done via telehealth. So they can get on the phone, they can get their laptop, and they can have that video like we're doing with their therapist or counselor.
Oh, okay. So it's almost just like how the doctor does it, where they say, well, you can either do a Zoom appointment or you can come in. Okay.
So how do parents can recognize if their child is going through, like whether they're going through some type of depression or something, because they're not really socializing or not able to do anything? What are some ways that a parent can find out what's really, going on with that child?
You want Jasmine, or who do you
It
want
doesn't
in that
matter.
tell?
Anybody can jump in on it.
I think one of the key ways is, of course, communication. I know dealing with teenagers, it's oftentimes a little bit harder to pull from them the information that you need to kind of help guide which direction they're in. However, there's certain signs, such as if, say, for instance, you have a child who is lacking the motivation to get out of bed, or whose appetite has decreased, or who's experiencing some form of isolation, and they're isolating and withdrawing from the family unit, right? Those are some of the signs that you're looking at and that you're recognizing, that can help to identify, okay, maybe my child is going through some form of depressed state, right? If they are anxious, or if they are overwhelmed, you'll be able to recognize some of the different signs as it relates to that. They're not focused, right? Those are some of the just some of the things that you look for within their behavior. But communication is key. I think I was telling you, Tasha, before we started, or Lady T. No, yeah, Lady T, Lady B. I'm sorry, but I was telling you before the broadcast started that I have check-ins. I call them check-ins with my kids. And what we do is essentially we'll have like a round table. We'll sit at the table and we'll have conversations about how is things going, how's school going, how is this aspect of life going. Have you, text your friend so-and-so, whatever close friend they have that they may be communicating with. So it's just that constant, but it's a constant thing. It's not something that I do, from month to month or what have you. It's something that I'm constantly doing just to check their mindset, just to see what's going on with them from a mental health perspective.
Wow. That's awesome.
I would like to add to that. Thank you, Natasha. She's absolutely right. I like the check-in idea. I'm going to start suggesting that. I think also irritability is another symptom that shows up in kids and teens with depression and anxiety. So that's another one to look for as well. And I often suggest a lot of times, like the whole family is working from home, the kids, the parents. So I always suggest if you can get outside, have a period at the middle of the day, maybe for lunch, everybody get up, stretch for 10 minutes, or go walk around the block, something to kind of break up the monotony of sitting in front of a screen.
See, I hope my son watching, because that's
He's
him.
watching.
He don't want to get up out of it. He don't want to do nothing. We bought a dog around his pandemic, he don't even want to walk the dog.
Yeah,
so,
we can't even get him to go outside and walk the dog.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he gonna we gonna get him to walk that dog though, so he can get out.
Yes.
But and that's a big deal. The exercise of this, because in school you walk around. And I don't know. I've been out of school forever, so I'm like, what do they do? What do they do for recreation? They don't have like when
They
I was
have physical activity.
Okay, they have
They still have gym. They still have PE.
Okay, yeah. So so now it's like at home we seen. Is it a? Now let me ask you this. Now we get a little bit more technical. Is there can a depression form? Can a depression come from them not being able to be around those friends and that? So as we seen the video, the one kid said he don't even have a schedule anymore. You know what I mean? His schedule he don't have. So can you get depressed from these from all of this? Anyone, I want anyone that can answer. All of you guys are, I think, capable of answering that question. So, what do you think about that? Is anybody who want to take that? Jasmine, do you want to take that?
Sure. I guess the short answer is yes. I think that depression can form because of social isolation, among other things. Oftentimes, when I'm talking about this pandemic with parents, I talk about the grief that's associated with it. So it's not just the social isolation and the absence of structure. It's also the loss of plans. The loss of what they wanted to do over the summer, or the senior trip, or the prom, and so there's a grief process in that too.
Wow.
I think that can also contribute to some depression.
Right.
Wow.
So okay, so even into the situation where, I call this an uncertain. Everything is just really uncertain. It's not as like it used to be. It's not the regular norm where how things are going to go. Meaning, I'm gonna go to the prom. Even going so far where you don't even know about this economy in terms of work, because we have an older daughter that attends Michigan University, and you know what I'm saying. It's like it's so
much.
Everything is so uncertain right now. Where that plays back to the mind and say, well, I don't know what's going to happen. So sometimes fear can set in because you're fearful of the unknown,
of your future, too.
Yeah, and it seemed like you're just sitting back, waiting on something to happen where you don't know what that is, but you're just waiting on something to say, okay, guys, you're clear. But it's not happening. You know what I mean? It's not. In fact, we've been on this lockdown or this pandemic been going on
almost
now
a year
for
in
about
March.
a year. I mean, it sounds kind of strange,
Yeah,
because to me, it don't really feel like a year. But because I guess so much stuff has happened where you constantly, and it's like, do we keep in saying all of that because of all of the uncertainty that we get more so from the media? Should kids pretty much stay away from the news?
But it's everywhere. It's on social media.
Yeah,
it's
social
everywhere.
media. What do you think about that? Should they do? And I know we this little touchy. We moved in touchy situation in terms of the media. Should they watch the media? In terms of the news, should they keep? Most kids probably pretty much don't watch the news, right? But you have it on social media where you have memes and people saying this about COVID-19. These kids are passing away because of this. You know what I mean? So should we keep them away, or should we, like you said, check in? Should we pretty much make sure, or just talk to them in terms of making sure you don't just take in everything? Don't believe everything you see on social media. What should we do in that area? I know that's a whole lot.
No, that's fine. I definitely think that there is a monitoring that should be going on, right? So you say that a lot of kids don't watch the news. My kids actually, because of I don't know if it's just the school that they're in, they watch CNN 10, which is CNN but it's a kid's version, right, of CNN. So my kids would come to me with information, especially like during the debates and all of that stuff, the presidential debates and things of that nature. And it was shocking to me because I'm listening to an 11-year-old and a 10-year-old kind of tell me what's going on within the presidential race. And some things I wanted filtered, right? Some things I did not want them to have to necessarily carry with them, right? So I definitely think it's just being aware, right, of what it is that your kids are watching. But any kid with a cell phone, if you have a cell phone, as soon as you go to Google, most oftentimes news, information pops up before you even go in to type anything into your Google search. So again, just going back to that platform of communication and making sure that you are informing your children, so that they're getting the information from you so that you can filter it however it needs to be filtered for that child. We know our individual children. We know what it is that they can handle and what it is that can actually be damaging to them from a mental perspective or from an emotional perspective. So it really is just being mindful and watchful, right? Being intentional behind what it is that we're allowing our kids to do with their time. A lot of times working from home or everyone just being in the home all at the same time, it can get a little lax, right? Because the kids are off doing their schoolwork and then off entertaining themselves because you have to get work done. But now it's like, okay, I have to revamp this. I have to go back to the child, find out, okay, what are you doing? Okay, you spent an hour on this TV show, you need to find something else to do. You spent an hour playing this video game. What else can we get you to do, right? And just refocusing what it is that they're doing.
I know that first of all, I've kept my son on a schedule. Is it perfect? By far, no. But it was important for me to keep him, and obviously even with school, but the way that they have it broken up, you have the synchronous time, the asynchronous time, blah, blah. But even after that, just keeping him on some type of regimen, which includes some type of physical activity, get on the bike, go for a walk. And when I say bike, we have an exercise bike downstairs. So it's cold outside. So I don't care. Go burn me 300 calories real quick. Go, shovel the snow, whatever. And then, oh God, I had another point. It was related to what Natasha was saying. But of course it left. So come back to me.
Well, just step in whenever you want.
Wait. RW3. He's with us, guys. He's just not physically on, but he did send a comment. I'll read it real quick. He said, I've seen studies that have shown an increase in teen suicide during the pandemic due to loneliness and isolation from peers. Being responsive is important. For example, having people available for children to talk to. But more important, we, schools, families need to be protective with creating engagement and interactive opportunities for children. And that he jarred my memory to my second point, which is we can't excuse ourselves, right? I mean, we're working, we're still busy, but even in that schedule, I built in family time. So come with me and help me cook dinner, or let's sit down and all watch a movie together. Like, we can't just say, go do. We have to be responsible. You know what I mean? I have an only child. So, for people who have multiple children, they get on each other's nerves, but I have an only child. So I have to say, okay, well, teach me how to play this video game, or let's put this puzzle together. Like, I have to engage and take responsibility in that versus just telling him go find something to do.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we try to every Sunday or Saturday we'll have a family Bible lesson together. We've been having Bible lessons together, or every night we pray together. You know what I mean? But at the same time, we engage in all type of conversation throughout the day because
most
we just
definitely.
happen to be, I mean, by us being business owners, we don't actually go to a 9 to 5. So we there, you know, everybody's there home and everything. So, yeah, it is, you definitely have to keep them busy.
Yeah, and you have to motivate them. I'm learning that because a lot of times they do not want to be motivated on their own. You have to say, go do, like you were saying, Lovey T earlier. You got to go do this. Go get on the bike or go walk the dog. At least try, or go clean up. Go make your bed. Go. You know, you got to motivate them. I have seen that a lot just in this time. Just that lack of motivation.
Or one of the things that I would do with my son more so, I would try to let him see those things that he wanted to work on. That he wanted to do a couple of things, so I'll challenge him in those areas. I say, remember, you said you wanted to do that. Well, won't you start trying to push yourself in that area? And he said, well, you know, I find myself getting lazy. I want to do it, but you know, I just don't do it. And I said, well, that's when you have to push yourself to make things happen. I mean, find something interesting. I know we
and then he started doing the voiceovers.
Yeah, the voiceovers.
He purchased some little equipment.
Yeah,
to do voiceovers.
Equipment. So and then he purchased. Then I gave him some equipment and everything. And I went and just put it up in his room, the sound boards and stuff. So he could, I mean, just trying to find an interest, something that is interesting. And sometimes they know, a lot of times they know, but you just have to, you know, what about this? And they be like, well, yeah, okay, you know. So, I mean, it is something that you have to stay on. You have to stay on it, not in a forceful way of making you, but as in let's see what you're interested in. Like we signing them up for coding classes, you know, that right there, keep them busy to learn how to code, you know, because there's a big money thing too in coding. And to that, listen, kids, Black families, look, if find out what the interest, listen, I'll say this. Coding is very big right now. It's very big. I know I want to be a psychiatrist. I want to be a I get it. I know it. But listen, follow the money sometimes. Sit your kid down and see if it's something that you don't know if you don't like it until you try it. I mean, put it in front of them. That's how I learned how to edit. I didn't know I wanted to be an editor. It's just something that I've seen and I start liking it. And next thing you know, I made a career out of it. But what I'm saying is we don't expose our kids enough. I'm talking to Black families more so to the coding world. Now, it's a lot of families or Black people who are you know, they're learning it, they're picking it up. But to our children, listen, if you want that video game, it takes coding. To code that video game, you have to code it. You know what I mean? If you have a couple of dollars, invest in stocks and shit. We had our last panel that was on. They put their money in
and we started him.
We started
stock,
him.
And so he been checking his stocks. Let me check my stocks.
It's just a couple of dollars. I mean, you don't have a lot of money. You know what I mean? It's a couple of dollars to buy a couple of shares. I'm just saying, you know, start trying to turn your kids on. Now is the time. Now is the time. They're sitting home. Find out if there's some new things that they would like, not just the same rigmarole protocol, you know, read history books, math books. Find out. I mean, that's what's it called? Extracurriculum or whatever they might call it.
And I even think during this time, I think building stronger relationships, I think is important within families with teens that's at home, you know, or children during this pandemic, is trying to, you know, really, because, you know, so much when parents are working and kids going to school all day, when they get home, it's time to eat and time to get ready for bed again. So it's like you're building like a more of a, you know, relationship with your children, more to say during this time. So
what do you guys think about that? Should we be, you know, what part does the parent play? I think someone touched on that, but what part does the parent play who just don't know?
I would say, as I'm listening to you all talk about this, one of the things that's coming up for me is the idea of modeling what you want to see.
Yeah.
So if you want them on a schedule and you want them to, you know, have balance and well-roundedness, that needs to be modeled. Parents, if you're asking them to take a break or, you know, push through and stay motivated, they need to be seeing that.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes, that's
That's
really
right.
good.
That's
That
right.
is really good.
And that's what we have to do, because we just don't know what's
Mhm.
going to happen. We don't know how long this thing is going to last or go. We don't know what's going on with the school. I know they're talking about, what is it, the COVID bill or whatever stimulus plan that's coming out. I think that's going to help. What is it, 100 billion or 900 billion or something like that? That I think some of that money will be allocated towards schools. I'm not sure. I believe some of that money is allocated towards schools, but I don't know, when that's going to happen and how much that really going to help. Because I do know that even I don't want to quote her, but I think the governor mentioned something about the kids going back to school after they've received the COVID shot. Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that. I don't want to misquote anyone, but I'm thinking that's what she said, that they will be able to enter back into the school after they've getting that shot. Again, people, don't quote me
That's gonna
on
be
that.
our
I'm
next
not for sure.
conversation.
I thought that's what I heard. She have the medical advisor, the doctor, to be on there. If you guys watch the lives that she do. So I'm not quite sure. And that's something that we need to think about. Every parent is not just going to let the child get the vaccination, especially if we don't want it right now anyway. We know you're
Right.
not. I don't know about how challenging that'll be for your child going back to school, and should they go back? I mean, that's another. I don't want to even go. That's a whole nother topic.
So okay.
Go ahead.
A thing that I heard my son say about the socialization, the social skills, that's a major issue for him. So what do you guys think in terms? You think the kids will lose their socialization skills or what?
I want to jump in here really quick and just I want to go back to what it was that Tony had stated, but then answer your question as well. Tony had made a statement with regards to just working with the kids and listening to the kids and kind of following suit with what it is that they want to do, right? But then it actually brought up what you were stating with regards to, you said you just listened to your son and he told you, how he was feeling with regards to socialization. So listening to our kids, I think that's another area where we as parents kind of fall off track. We want to tell the child instead of actually listening to the child. And during this period of time that we're in dealing with this pandemic, we think that we as parents or as the adult, right, are experiencing this world and this life within this pandemic by ourselves, and the kids aren't experiencing anything, but the kids are experiencing just as much as we're experiencing, right? And the difference is we understand how to process it. They don't, right? They're learning how to process and how to work through what it is that they're experiencing. So to answer your question with regards to socialization, I think that's something that we have to be, again, intentional behind. We have to focus in on the connections that they've made and continuing to develop and grow those connections in different ways, right? So I have an 11-year-old, as I stated, and she just started 6th grade. She was really down because this was the first year that she was going to actually enter into middle school. She'll have a locker because they didn't do lockers up until the point of middle school for her. So this was like a big deal for her, right? This was something, it was change, it was growth, it was development, right? So now that she wasn't able to experience that, it was up to me as a parent to be intentional in what it was that I wanted her to see. So I set her up a space where it was like a locker for her, right? I did these different things just to kind of make her feel as though she was transitioning into middle school, coming out of elementary, right? And I think as a parent, those are some of the things that we have to listen, right? We have to listen to what it is that our kids are conveying to us, and then we have to actually engage those things, right? Cultivate what it is that they're sharing with us. So if that's, hey, I really want to meet with this person, or maybe it's set up a Zoom call. And I know a lot of people are over the Zoom calls. I know that, but I've set up virtual play dates for my kids because they need that social engagement. It's imperative that they have it because communication goes lacking, right? The ability to actually convey what it is that you're trying to say, or all of that stuff just kind of falls by the wayside if we don't actually push them to engage. And then you ultimately end up with the anxiety or the depression or just the lack of being connected and being social in general.
Yes, most definitely. And I know our son was in the band. He was, he played the bass clarinet. So he was stressing to me how he missed, going out with the friends and their, the band practice and just going on trips together, playing their instruments. So that was like really, when I was listening, like, wow, this really, he misses this, So I know there's a lot of kids out there that's feeling the same way as well. So I wonder what can we do to kind of help them get past that part, since they can't really,
the
be
missing part,
engaged. Yeah, the missing.
should we just replace it with other things? And guys, when we're talking, we're not really just talking for us. We're talking for those people that are out
maybe
there.
They're watching.
Maybe they're watching now. And I see that it is people out there watching. What are some? How do we? Should we replace those things that they're missing? Or how do we go about doing that? That's for anyone.
I think some things aren't replaceable, right? And so I think, sure, for the things that are easy switch out, absolutely replace them with other things if your child is interested in that. But I think for those things that can't be replaced, like I was mentioning before, the prom, the graduation, the senior trip, I think that's where we have to get really creative. And so I tell parents, have a conversation with your child about what is it about this thing that you really were looking forward to, and think about how can we cultivate something similar. So I'm remembering a client that I had earlier, like at the beginning of the pandemic. She was a senior in high school, and she was really sad that she wasn't going to be able to go on this cruise with her friends after graduation. So what she ended up doing was she made her drive-through graduation party a tropical theme. Kind of still honor the beach and the sun that she was, going to miss.
Oh wow, that was creative.
Yeah, so I think sometimes it's about getting creative and being able to honor the feelings and around the loss.
That's right. And then you have Christmas and coming up, and you have Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So I guess there was a lot of things that you could do or you were doing, like eating together as a family and enjoying it. Now you have this Christmas thing that's coming up where, you traditionally give gifts and they opening new gifts up that they didn't have and having fun. I mean, it's I guess that's a good thing that we are, we're in these two seasons, you know what I mean? They can keep us busy or keep them busy or entertain anyway from what they're watching. I guess you might call it the Christmas spirit. I don't know. Putting up the Christmas tree as a family, putting up the Christmas lights and different things. There is things you could do out there.
But what about for that child who never really, when they're at home, they never felt like that well? They felt really good when they went to school, like just being around their friends. But when they go home, they were kind of more sad. So I wonder how do we deal with a kid out there that might be dealing with that, where they're, being at home is kind of stressful for them. They like being at school,
Lady B, if I could add on to your question for our guests, and thinking in the same line, like, what have you all seen in terms of, your professions? Have you seen an exacerbation of, I mean, because everything that we've talked about is kind of like in a middle class context, but for children who are poverty stricken or live in abject poverty or have some type of weird situation, like, what have you seen come through, in terms of the challenges being compounded by COVID-19?
I'm glad that you brought this into the conversation, because you're absolutely right. It is important, to acknowledge that, at the middle class level, we're privileged. We can provide the extra supplemental schoolwork or the virtual play dates and all of these things. Everybody does not have access to those things. And if you think about earlier, when the pandemic first started, I was working in community mental health. And now I'm in private practice. But back then, these clients were all Medicaid recipients, often some, under the poverty line. Parents were frontline workers, so maybe not able to be at home. And so I will say that I did notice there was a kind of an uptick in the struggle for sure. I made a lot more CPS calls during that time than any other time. So absolutely, I do feel for those that are not able to. Home is not necessarily a happy place. With those clients, it really was getting down to the basics. Okay, can you step outside? Can we do a meditation for 5 minutes? Is there another family member that you might be able to stay with for a short time? Really kind of basic day to day, hour to hour things.
That's right. And I'm glad you brought that up. That's actually for both of you guys. That's a great question. Because sometimes we can kind of forget about those that's not as privileged. And I was reminded of a situation that we before this happened, we were in schools. Our business was in schools, and we trained kids how to shoot video cameras, how to edit, different things such as that nature. And my daughters were teachers in some of the schools. And this one particular school, this is before we even thought about a pandemic even coming down the line, that they seen different kids, obviously because they're in the classroom with the child, and some of the kids will come up to them and they start expressing different things. One day we had something, I think it was about bullying. It was about, we had a police officer to come in, and talk to the kids. And I believe one of the kids was dealing with a situation in their home, where the parent just didn't seem like they liked the child, and they were faced with those situations where it seemed like that she had more fun when she got home. I mean, when she got to the school, but when she knew she had to go home and deal with the situation, it was something to the degree, I think one of the parents was locked up or something like that. And they are faced with those challenges. Yes. But here's the hard question. What do we do about that? Yeah. How do we should we just lend an ear or just pay attention to what's going on, right, whether it be those people within our circle? Like, how do we deal with those issues? Because there's someone out there now who's dealing with a situation, or they might know someone who their family is not, is not, as safe as it should be. What should they do about that? What should they do about something like that? Do you guys know?
I believe kind of like what Jasmine, just the same information that Jasmine had kind of shared. It's the unfortunate truth is, as she stated, she had to make a lot of CPS calls within that time frame of her working within community mental health. And that's the truth behind it. Because what do you do when you have a child in an unsafe environment? Yeah. The child ultimately has to be removed from that environment in order to be placed into a safe environment to ensure the physical, mental, emotional stability and well-being of that child. So I think for parents in particular dealing with the stressors of work, right? You're talking about frontline workers, not just the doctors and the nurses, but we're talking about those that are working for fast food restaurants, those that are working for our local grocers, right? These individuals who are actually making sure that we as civilians have the opportunity to sustain within our own lifestyles, right? So when you're looking at a situation where you have a child in those settings, who's just experiencing some defeat almost when they go into their home, they're not safe, they're not feeling as though they're in a happy place, right? It really is the hope that their other support systems, right, be it a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, can advocate for them and can support them in whatever way he or she can, to just bring some source of happiness to that particular situation. We as clinicians, or myself as a clinician, the most I can do is, as you stated, Tony, is listen in those instances, right? Provide resources if the resources that they need are available, and to be there, to be an arm almost of support for that particular situation. But it takes the parent wanting to be educated in the sense, right, of what's going on with their child and how they can support their child. They are the biggest advocate for that particular child within a situation like
that's
that.
so true.
That's
so
true.
we have a comment from actually our son.
You gonna read it?
Okay. I feel the biggest issue with online school is distractions that hinder your focus and communication with teachers.
Mhm.
Yeah, what do
So
you guys think about that? Do you guys feel that your
What?
kids have that as? I guess we seen one of the. I think
Mhm.
during the video, someone said like there's so many distractions in their bedroom because there's so many things that they love doing
Yeah.
because they're home. And I found that to be with him where he, there's so many other things you could do. And then I think, you could turn to video games while you online
Mhm.
in school, you know what I mean? Because they
Yes.
can't, see what you're doing and
Doing.
everything. And it's a
That
challenge.
is. That's almost like when you at job, because sometimes adults have a hard time controlling themselves. Because I
Yeah.
remember being at work in the past years ago, and when my boss leave, I'll go get on the internet for a couple minutes. I know that was wrong, but just the point. Now imagine a kid that really don't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, who don't
So
really know.
have that self-control.
Did he say something else? He on the floor now. What do you say?
I feel like the curriculum is rushed because it feels like we were thrown in and the school was not prepared. Yes, he talked about that a lot, which he's in Novi high school,
Yeah.
and he felt like they had to hurry up between March and September and August to get the curriculum right, because that was their first time going online. So now he feels like it's some disorganization in it. That's what I feel. But so that's, and then it's like they're rushed into something and he feel like he's like,
and it's one of those things because nobody was prepared for this. Nobody was. Maybe this should awaken up those areas in terms of the online based curriculum, how they would push it out, if I can use that terminology, where it can set them up. I don't even think that. None of even the teachers were like, okay, what do I do now? Or how do I, because I can't even see you. Can they even see? They can't even
no,
see
they can't use the cameras. They don't want them using the cameras.
Right.
And then also they had a setback. The system went down for 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. Some crashed. So that set back some things as well. So
this is the ongoing challenges that we face as a family. And it's something that we have to learn how to deal with. Education is obviously something that in some areas you can't get educated in terms of the way this thing is just brought to us. You know what I mean? It's it's just more or less trying to figure this thing out together and work together as a family for those who can.
I have a comic relief moment. So, I go upstairs periodically, check on my son because he's doing that exact thing. In between class, he does. So I have to take the phone, shut it down. Anyway, I go and look on the screen. His teacher in the bed, scarf on her head. I'm like, what? I said, Paul, is that your teacher? Or another student?
Wow.
He's like, yeah, that's my teacher. I'm like, really?
That's crazy. And they're gonna follow what they see the kid.
I know.
You lay in the bed. I'm not getting out of the bed.
So should you get your parents up? But should you get your kids up on a normal school day? Make them do everything like as if they're going to school. Should you do that, or what? What do you guys think?
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that I believe structure, as much as we think, or as much as kids even want us to believe that they don't want structure, kids thrive off of structure. And to actually have that structure set in place, it gives them something to hope for almost, right? They know it's this level of expectancy that they have. So at the end of the day, I know what's going to go on. I know how my day is going to progress because I have this structure already set in place. So I do believe that getting up at a regular set time each morning, getting dressed for the day as if you are literally leaving the house, I believe that that sense of structure in that form of just stability being set in place helps the child. It actually helps the child to go throughout the day. If I'm in my pajamas all day, that's lounge day, right? That's just how our minds work. We kind of feed off of, how it is that our outer appearance even is. So if I get up and I get dressed for the day, I'm going to get done what it is that I need to get done or that I have accomplished for that particular day. So yes, I do believe that that they should get up, they should get dressed.
So what about those jobs now? It's online jobs where you're working from home, remote jobs. So they tell the employees, you can work in your PJs. So how that feel to put some comfortable slippers on your PJs and come to work? So, of course,
so they following the same thing.
So they following what the parents doing. I'm gonna keep my pajamas on.
Well,
slippers,
and that's true. But another turn, if we turn another corner into this fear, a lot of kids are seeing, or they're hearing, like you said, your kids are watching the news of the kid news, and I'm quite sure they're hearing about the count is rising and people are dying and they're getting COVID, and how do you set that? What do you do? Like with us, we teach Bible lessons to kids. We have a platform called the Faith Kids, and we have curriculums, and we do cartoon animation, and we have probably about like 2,500 kids that watch. 2,700 kids that watch on a regular basis, and then they can go to the website and they can join on and play video games. So we're trying to keep them. Keep them busy, but we're doing it in a spiritual way. That's what we do. What are some other ways that you think that can help them with this fear, because there's a lot of fear out there, guys, even with grown people, they're fearing that, when is this going to end? Or am I going to get sick? You know what I mean? I'm going to take this home to my family. It's fear out there. So I know if it's fear in the parent, is fear in the children, or maybe it's not, I don't know. But what do you guys think about that? What are some things that the parent can do that can help that, or can help that situation where they're not as fearful of what's going on?
I think validation of the fear is key, number one. So I guess for me, it's not necessarily the removing of the fear or making them not afraid. It's a scary thing, and none of us know what is going to happen, right?
Yeah.
I think creating a relationship that allows them to express that to you, and not feel like how they say, it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to be afraid. I think that the help comes in the reassurance. It's okay to be afraid, but here's what we're going to do in the meantime. Here's what mom and dad are doing to keep you safe. Here's what you need to do to keep yourself safe.
That's right.
That's kind of how I look at it.
And those are some great points.
Yes.
And because I think that that's something that we need to stay on, because the news is ongoing. They're constantly talking about, they're rising and wear masks. And, some kids, may have anxiety in terms of even putting on a mask, so we definitely need to make sure that we're trying to do our best. And I think that's a great idea to say that, how not to remove the fear, but trying to show them, what did you say? Reassuring them. I think that's really good right there. I like that. I think that's really good, because everyone has fear.
Yeah.
You know, it's a natural state to be fearful of some things. So I get that, and especially with our children. And to me, I think I probably have more of the fear for them going back to the school than them going to the school, making sure that they safe. You know, so and making sure the parent don't. Sometimes we have to be the stronger ones, right? So that we don't really just show it out, because whatever we do, chances are it's gonna follow. You know what I mean? Or if mom and daddy's scared, oh my God, I need to be scared. So we have to make sure that we show that example. If you're gonna cry, go in your bedroom and cry, then come back out, wipe your eyes. I'm just playing. You know what I'm saying? But whatever that it may be, guys, we thank you for this conversation.
Yes.
I think
definitely.
it's needed. But before we close this out now, is there anything, do you guys have any solutions to anything from the things that we talked about, just so we can leave this pod being informational, but also giving them some things that they can do, some tactics that they can do during this pandemic? Do you guys have anything?
Oh, okay. Well, I'll just jump in and say
we have the most politest
guests.
We
do today. We have
yes, we do.
You ladies are so polite.
But one of the suggestions that I was going to state was just kind of what we just finished off on with regards to the schedules. Keeping a schedule as much as you possibly can, giving the kids that level of consistency. There's so much stuff that's up in the air right now. They need a little bit of consistency. They need that, that balance. So keeping with a schedule, keeping structurally sound.
Yes. Okay. Awesome.
I would add to that, now, if you haven't already, this is the time to start a meditation practice. It lends itself to many things, reduction of anxiety, reduction of depression, and mindfulness of, what's going on with how you're feeling. I think that would be my one takeaway. Meditation, getting up, getting out, stretching. To stay
Most definitely.
Awesome.
What about you? Something as a parent? Yeah.
You definitely can.
Thanks. No, because I'm a social worker and I work with mental health adults, but I can definitely, as a parent, say that I think one of our guests said it, acknowledge and validate, because oftentimes kids, depending on their parents, are supposed to be seen and not heard, right? And in terms of like irritability and things like that, they don't necessarily know how to process, so they may not always have the right words to express, you know what I mean? So parents need to just keep that in mind. So really, my advice is more to the parents than the kids, but mental health is real for children. I think that's the most important takeaway for me in this show. It's mental health for depression, anxiety, all of that is real for a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 13-year-old, and so don't minimize it. Don't just shun it off like, go get on your video game, you'll be fine. No, listen to your children, validate their feelings, let them talk to you about how they're feeling because they're scared. And Tone, like you say, even if you realize that there are things that you can do something with that. You can move forward with information and understanding about where your kid is. So I don't want to go on and on, but that was really an important point for me in terms of what we said today. Validate, let them know that what they're feeling is real, and you can go from there.
And I would say, as a parent, bonding, making sure you're building even more relationship with your child. Me, just the other day, I braided his hair for the first time because his hair have grown since he haven't been able to get to the haircut. And I felt a bond just braiding up his little hair, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. He was talking, he said, oh, that's tight, just really just building more bonds with your children and a relationship stronger.
He probably cringing right now. Oh my gosh, you put that out there.
But yeah.
And for me, being a father, it has to be, and I'm talking to fathers, it's been keeping that line of communication, because a lot of times fathers are going about doing whatever it is they do. I come here to the studio a lot for just to keep things moving, and I got to make sure I keep that. I have to, and I'm learning a lot, guys, in this pandemic myself. Trust me when I tell you that. I'm learning a whole lot where I have to keep a conversation going on. I have to communicate with him to see what's going on. Where sometimes I didn't do that. I was, going to take care of business. And sometimes we can be doing so much where we forget about our kids. You know what I mean? But they are doing their own they have their own social life as well. And sometimes that can get a little messy, because you should be talking to I'm talking to the fathers, talking to your kids, talking to your son, keeping that dialogue, knowing what's going on with him. If you can do a little, whatever it is you can do, like I found in myself to go in his room and they put these little pads on the wall for soundproofing the wall. So I did a little chore with them. And I guess my wife can hear the stapling on the other side of the wall. Boom, 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 boom. I'm stapling the piece. I mean, just something. I had to stop because I was on the editing board. I just got up and said, let me go in here and boom, 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 and help them out and show them how to. Just being creative, fathers. That's what I'm saying. Try to be creative with your kids, your son or whatever. If you don't have a son, your daughter, see what's going on with her. See what you can help her with.
You have to fill that void that they might be missing in terms of socialization.
That's right. That's right. Because I took him, I told him that, listen, let's relax from video games for a little while. And then I think about it. We had a long conversation. Then when I went in a room, he came in a room probably like, I think an hour after, and he said, I feel empty now. You know what I mean? I feel empty because I don't, that's what I've been doing. So I feel empty, because there's nothing. I said, well, we got to find something to replace that emptiness. And it's just what it is. Help fathers get up. I know how we are. We could be a little lazy in some areas, in those areas, and just don't want to, it's not that, that'd be all right, but sometimes we just got, and you'd be surprised what they would be surprised. Oh, daddy coming in my room, or whatever to help me, you know what I mean? So, I mean, you never know what can happen in that area. Just whatever it is that can help you, help your child.
And another thing also is patience. For parents out there in the household, with your teens, your kids, this is being patient, and not being so, where you feel like, oh, this child's irritating me today, really, I think patience goes a long way.
Yeah, patience goes a long way. You got to pray for the patience.
Understanding that they're going through it just as you're going through it.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
Most definitely.
So, guys, we thank you guys for joining us. We hopefully that was some help for someone who
some information or anything.
We're going to have them to give their information out. Lovely T, was you going to say something? Okay. Do you have anything that you want to add to it or anything?
No, I just want to thank the guests for coming and sharing some good information and good suggestions and solutions, and just great to have you on the show.
You don't know that what we've talked about can help so many. You guys know. I don't know why I said it. You guys know. But I'm glad that we can be a help or whatever it is that we might have said that could trigger something with the parent, with the child, or with the parent to tell the child, or more information. Because I'm gonna tell you what, we have a lot of young moms out here now who, to some degree, we have babies raising babies. And they just don't have that wisdom and guidance or those people in their lives. And maybe this can be some, you don't know. I mean, we just don't know how this will help. Again, when this is uploaded, it'll hit about 3-4 400 people. So we don't know who that might help. So guys, we definitely appreciate how you contribute in this conversation on this podcast, that maybe it could be a help to someone. And if guys, if you're out there, is there anything or like in terms of contacting you guys for any reason, or just how did that works for you guys?
Well, for me, I work at Family Matters Counseling, which is located in Southfield. And if you all are interested in reaching me, you can reach me at jirvin@fmcounselingmichigan.com. That's my email address. If you're interested in signing up to have therapy, you can call the office at 313-603-5823.
That's good information, guys.
Awesome.
Miss Natasha, what? Say it again.
Natasha. Yes.
Natasha.
So I am not with any particular company. I am, however, offering counseling services as well as a private practice. You can find me on psychologytoday.com. All you would have to do is go to psychologytoday.com. And in the search box, type in my name. That's Nitasha, Nitasha Liggins, Liggins. Or you can check out some blogs or some resources and information on my website, which is lifeandfamilyoverload.com. That's life and spelled out familyoverload.com.
Guys, listen, I want you to reach out.
Yes.
Here's the opportunity. There is help out here. All you have to do is a phone call away, or just go online and email parents. I'm talking to parents, obviously. Reach out. I mean, it's okay if you don't know. That's why there's help out here, so that you can know, to reach out to these professionals who can help assist you with your child, and some strategies that we all need it. We definitely need it in this, and we don't know how long this is going to go. We really don't. It's uncertain. So definitely reach out for some more skills or tools to put in your toolbox, so that we can help have a healthy relationship with our family, in this pandemic. Because guess what? You still have to live together, right? We still have to live together. I mean, we got to get along, right? So I mean, we have to have these strategies so you won't pull your hair out. You know what I mean? So we helping you out. Guys, we like to thank you for joining the show.
Thank you, guys.
We look forward to. We always tell our guests to having you back on. And we happen to have these conversations again. And it may be something that we should, just try to look into reaching back out ongoing, once a month or whatever, for some tips or whatever, because as long as this pandemic is going on, people are still in the home. You get what I mean? What is it? Joe Biden said a dark winter, whatever that means, a dark winter and everything. So that's shut down to some people. So we probably need to be reaching back out to you guys for more dialogue in a professional way. So we thank you for coming on to the show, guys. Listen, like and share this. We want you to like and share this podcast. Go to our website. Go to our YouTube page. Our YouTube page don't get any love.
Come on, y'all. Give us some love on our YouTube channel.
We get all the love on Facebook, where we reach hundreds of people, but our Facebook, not so much. But we want you to go to our Facebook page, our YouTube page, channel, rather.
Yes.
And check us out. Show us some love. It's over how many? Like over. It's 100. I know there's 100 pods on there that you can check out, related to everything. So check us out.
That's right.
And guys, again, see us every
tuned,
Sunday,
because we got another combo going.
Yeah, we got another conversation real quickly that's going to go on. We come on every Sunday at 4:45, and we'll see you soon. To our guests.
That's right. See you guys.
Okay, guys. We'll talk to you.
Bye.
That's right. All right. But guys, now we're going to go on to our next conversation real quickly. And what was that on the docket? We were talking about.
So we're talking about so our episode will be discussing Black people alongside Latinos still disproportionating dying of COVID-19, and Pfizer and Moderna and AstraZeneca on the verge of rolling out their life-saving vaccines come as no surprise to Black people. With those vaccines rolling out, many Black people do not want to participate in this vaccination. According to Cairo 7 News, they did a survey with some of the Black people. What they found out during this survey is that there is a lot of mistrust. Unfortunately, due to the history we have seen, registered nurse Tacoma, part of the union, she said, as a healthcare provider and as a Black woman, she said it's very concerning. She said, so it's a lot of mistrust going on because we knew about the experiment with the United States years ago in terms of the was that the syphilis vaccine they had,
Tuskegee.
Yep. So now it's just a lot of mistrust and a lot of people just like, no, I don't want it. So we're going to kind of get into this and kind of discuss a little bit about this or what's going on with this. I got some statistics in terms of...
Let's go ahead and get into them.
All right.
So though Black people are least likely to take COVID-19, they're among the hardest hit compared to whites. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention stated that Blacks and Latinos who get the virus are 2.8 times more likely to die and about 4 times as likely to be hospitalized rather. Yes.
And see, what do we go ahead?
There will be 2.9 million doses rolled out this week, with an additional 2.9 million next week and 20 million by the end of the year. The vaccine.
Wow. So I mean, yeah, I guess, guys, is a thing out there where, obviously there's fear, there's not this the trust factor is there because of so many years of how African Americans have been treated, and I guess this mistrust is there. And here's the thing: I'm not here to talk you out of getting a vaccination. I'm not here for that purpose, because that's not me. It's not my business to talk you out of that. My thing is to say why do we have this mistrust? Guys, if you want to leave comments, leave comments. Why do you think that, is so much mistrust? We know, obviously, that, like you say, there's so many things that have happened within the Black community where it's stopping them from actually getting the vaccinations. We even seen on the news where what's his name? The vice president had gotten it. His wife had gotten it. And what was the other guy? I think he was the top doctor.
Fauci.
But the other guy from the military, the brother, he got the shot, to show that. Listen, is that enough? Do we think that's enough? Because we see these high officials on television getting the vaccination. Is that enough?
Yeah, I think the fight is on. The battle is on in terms of the messaging, that people will receive, because in the same suit, I mean, you have these dignitaries and these officials that are saying, okay, look at me. But then you have, people like Farrakhan who are saying that the vaccine I heard the term used earlier. I can't remember it. So paraphrasing, it's like a toxic waste, or he used some type of framing, phrase like that. And I'm not placing judgment, Tone. Like, I'm like you. I'm not trying to convince you one way or the other, but because you have those two mixed messages camps out there, I think it keeps people who are unsure. It doesn't do anything to help them just make a decision one way or the other. You know what I mean?
So it's a CEO, of Merck and Company. I guess they deal with vaccinations.
Do we have anything to show, or do we have any, or we didn't make up anything to post?
If you go there, she can put a video up, but I have some words or whatever.
Okay, you're just gonna read. Okay.
Well, he said it took a long time to even. They said they haven't even came out with a vaccination for the cure of AIDS yet. It took them 5 years to do the Ebola vaccine. It took 5 years to get that together. So how do they say all of a sudden they got a vaccination? They're doing a disservice to everyone when you say, by the end of 2020, we're going to have this vaccination. How do you get a vaccination so quick when it still took a long time to get vaccination for other type of like tuberculosis took 13 years, he said. And rotavirus took 15 years to come with a vaccine. And chickenpox was 28 years.
Wow.
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 Wow. Well, I mean, I think some of what I've heard in countering that perspective is that, one, you had a huge government backing. And so the argument is like in other research, finances matter. So they have to wait till they get the grant money and this, that, and the third. Whereas with this, you had a lot of, government backing financially.
10 billion, I believe, 10 billion from what I found online that the government put into this.
But now, is that a good thing? Because if the government, okay, so here's the thing, right? Okay, so we can't exclude the fact that, it is kind of quick. Like putting it out kind of quick, and that is a factor from when you're used to something being developed at a certain time. You know what I mean? It has a date on it, and it's not just, come on, let's hurry and get this thing out, and now we're going to inject it into our bodies. That's something that is questionable. It's not saying that whether it's good or bad. I don't know. I don't want to have an opinion in terms of the social media aspect of it. But I guess what I'm saying is it does raise questions. It does put it out there, and I guess that's why they're saying that, no, okay, well, we're showing you that it's safe. But is that really showing us that it's safe because you decide to get vaccinated to show us that it's safe? Is it we playing Russian roulette? You know what I mean? Russian roulette.
I mean, right, because it is early. I mean, they did, some of the, okay, let me back up. So some companies have stated that they already started this research. Well before warp speed was put into place by our president. Anyway, so it wasn't like the starting point was just in January of this year. You know what I mean? Like they had already, because SARS, we know, is various versions. So they had already started, working on some things. And I guess, with the financial backing, they were able to get it up. But no doubt, Tom, like I agree. I think, the timing of it all, it really does cause people to pause. It causes people to pause and say, wait a minute, you taking it, but we don't know 2 years in. We don't know 3 years in. We don't know. So, but I do think in terms of just even the title, are they trying to get rid of Black and brown people? I think the caveat to that, or the double-edged sword, the other side of that sword, is that we've seen what this virus can do unchecked. And as Lady B had read, it continues to disproportionately impact Black and brown people. So if we're not going to take the vaccine for whatever reason, are we committed to doing those other things that keep us safe? Because we're the ones that are dying at the highest rates.
Yeah.
With no vaccine.
Yeah. And I guess it, from what I'm understanding, it has a lot to do with the immune system, making sure your immune system is strong, and I mean, obviously you have the vitamin D, you have the different things that remedies that different people are trying out there now. But is it enough? I mean, is it enough? Or eventually, do you think it's going to come down to it where we're going to all have to be vaccinated? I mean, what do you think? We heard about the herd immunity. It's called herd immunity, where if it's enough people who've been vaccinated, but it have to be a certain percentage of people, then maybe it stands a chance where those who don't it doesn't matter because of the herd immunity. Maybe, I mean, what do they need? I think 70% of the population, or 80 or 70%. That's a huge number. 70-80% is a big number.
But I do want to know. Well, I'm back off of that a little bit. I want to know why. What's her Melinda Gates? Why did they want so bad Black people to get it first? They said after the frontline people get it, like our nurses and essential workers, then straight to the Black community. Why though? I just want to know.
I mean, but that could be. I guess you would have to look at the person, to really kind of make a judgment on their intent. Because outsider looking in, depending on your viewpoint, you can look at it as suspicious, or you can look at it as they are aware and have seen the numbers that you just said disproportionately impact the Black and brown community. So it's like, to not give them access at a higher priority would almost be I don't even know the word, neglect to the 10th degree. You know what I mean? But the diabolical, like it wouldn't come across. It wouldn't come across right for you to hold back the medicine that could potentially, stop the dying in that particular community.
But when did they start really caring about the Black community? If people really cared about the Black community, they would put more into the community, invest more dollars into the community, and so forth. So why all of a sudden for the vaccine, I care about you? So those are the kind of things I understand what you just said about that, and that's, you got to look at it from a certain perspective, but you still got to have that second thought. You can't be like, not use wisdom. Can't be stupid in this situation. You got to be like, okay, I understand that, but what is the really ultimate goal, a reason of doing what you want to do?
Well, first of all, I think you look at the history. You have to look at the history. But in terms of Bill Gates and his wife, you also have to look at what they have been doing for years since he came out of Microsoft, retired from Microsoft, of him getting into vaccinations and vaccines rather, and joining different partnerships or investing his dollars in these different companies, which is on record that he have been doing it, as well as over in Africa for so many years. Him and his wife have done so many studies, and they're complaining over in Africa. There are people who are complaining. They don't even want, well, not everybody. I can't say everybody, but there's people on record who have said that they don't even want Bill Gates and his wife over there. They want them to go. Don't even come back. You know what I mean? In terms of vaccinating. And they do have a video with his wife, and she's talking about in terms of slowing down people from having so many babies over in Africa, and using the vaccinations, them being vaccinated to stop that process from happening. So it is on record that that's some things that they have been doing, and it is record. You have to just pull up her name. We didn't get that video, and then there have been conversations. I'm only saying what they've saying it, guys. So they will say we're not giving out the right information. But even on TED Talk, you have Bill Gates talking about depopulation. Depopulation. He's talked about that. And he's entangling that with vaccinations. So those things, and he is involved with these companies that are dealing with the vaccination. So I mean, it's
well, let me
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, if it wasn't the intent, sometimes, you guys, there was an episode on Bill Cosby, right? Let me go to the Bill Cosby game, right?
All right.
And Bill Cosby was talking to his daughter, and I forget the daughter. Who was it? Denise? Vanessa. It was Vanessa.
Everybody say I look like Vanessa.
Yeah, you do like Vanessa. But look, it was Vanessa. Vanessa had brought her so-called boyfriend home, and he had become, they were getting married. And in fact, I think they got married. Did they get married? But anyway,
Vanessa got married? Or
well, in the
Denise?
show.
Denise?
You talk about the
Oh,
oldest daughter.
No, it was Vanessa.
The middle
It was
one.
Vanessa. Vanessa
Yeah.
was
Okay.
she was getting married. She was getting married.
Uh-huh.
And what happened was she hadn't told their mother. They hadn't told them, but he told his parent. And they were surprised that they didn't know. I mean, their relationship, they didn't know. They just came home for the holidays and just slapped it on them. Hey, we about to get married, and hey, you got to deal with it. And they were kind of like, they were feeling some kind of way, like, wait a minute. Everybody else knew and we didn't. So listen, they were sitting at the dinner table. Here I go. They were sitting at the dinner table, and I forget his name. It's on the tip of my tongue. Dabness. He didn't understand why Bill Cosby and the mother were looking at him sideways. And he said, he looked at him, he said, hey, listen, what is your favorite dish? He said, oh, well, I can eat a good steak every now and again. He said, okay, good steak. He said, now what if I put some, we'll caramelize the onions and put it on. He said, yeah, that'd be good. He said, we'll put some, mushrooms on the steak, and he said, yeah, that'd be good. He said, but then what I'll do is I'll grab the top of a garbage can, turn it over and put it on there and give it to you. And he said, what? He said, huh? He said, it's in the presentation. It's how you delivering this thing to me because of all of the things that you guys, meaning Bill Gates, what you've already said that you don't like, or some things that you want to do, depopulation and stopping people over in Africa from being pregnant or slow down the birth rate and all of these different things. You entangle with these companies, and it's something that you and Fauci have lived and went to the same school together, and you guys are both in the same kind of field. In fact, you left the field to join into another. The presentation doesn't look right.
It does.
So even if they had good intent, just like Dabness and Vanessa had good intent to get married.
Yeah, they was in love.
But the presentation didn't show up as good as they felt. You know what I mean? So I think it's in the presentation of what people have seen, and it's coming out so fast. And here, inject yourself. And here's the one that hit it on the head. When we look at the situation where you look at the crimes that done happened to Black people for so many years, you look at the money, the discrimination with Black people for so many years, and for so many years, no one seemed to like they care. But all of a sudden, you care about me being vaccinated,
right?
And I guess what they're saying is it's in the presentation, and Black people are like, wait a minute, you guys got a poor representation of how you display things for so many years. So now I don't know. I mean,
$10 billion is a lot of money to put into vaccination. What about, do you ever think about putting part of that into building up the communities in the Black communities, building up new homes for them, forth?
Yeah, I mean, but I think that what they're doing is a part of building up the community in terms of putting money in access to better health. Like and maybe I don't know, but I've had several people that I know either become positive with COVID and get really, really sick, or die, and they're gone. They're no longer with us. So that is almost a visceral realness for me. Like, so I mean, even though whatever I may feel in terms of how soon I'm ready to take the vaccine, I really think the messaging, like we're trying to do here, really should be a neutral messaging, and it should just be, do your research. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that you can make an informed decision and be open to both sides. Like, don't find yourself going down a rabbit hole with, one of these theories out here, or, I'm just saying, like, do your research, guys, and make informed decisions about, what you want to do. And if I could, RW3 chimed in again. Hey, RW3.
Hey, RW3.
He said, actually, the sample size for the vaccine was 3 times what they expected. prior to being released to the market. 45,000 people took the vaccine and it was 95% effective. So if it was safe for those 45,000 people, if it was, I think he's trying to say, so if it wasn't safe for those 45,000 people, it would not have been approved for the general public. Plus, it seems quick, but they didn't cut corners during the clinical trials.
Well, and see, that's right. We got to play both sides of it. We definitely have to play both sides of it. But you know. Yeah, it's holes in that too, but you know what I mean.
You ain't gonna find the effects until later down the line. You could say it's effective now, but
in terms of being informed, that's something that you should know. I don't think that you just gonna get the shot and then you're gonna catch a reaction right then and there. And I think that's the fear of the unknown, because it hasn't been proven, it hasn't been out long, it haven't been tested as long as it should have been, and it's just a right away thing. Again, I'm not talking anyone out of them getting it or not getting it, but I am saying that if you're going to do something, at least make the presentation. Don't just throw it in a person's face, say, hey, you need this. And you push so much fear through media where it scares people. See, here's the thing. I don't want to do something out of fear. You know, I don't want to be vaccinated because of fear, because fear is proven to make quick decisions without making the right decision. I'm just doing it because I think I'm going to die. You know what I mean? I'm not doing, or whatever. So I'm basing it on fear, and I don't think that it should be based on fear. And that's right there is a strong thing to me. And but somebody else may say fear is all they need. You know what I mean? All I need is to be fearful so I can run out here and get this in my arm. But just like we were talking about, it's best to get the information.
Yeah.
You know? But here's the thing. I will say this. This vaccination is not like the normal vaccination. It's not like it. It's not.
What you talking about, Tom?
Okay, well, if you do the research, I was trying to pull it up about
mRNA.
The mRNA. Is instructions. It's not like is a pathogen, whatever you call that, where it's not a dead virus. It's not a virus that goes in, which is the normal way of how vaccines happen. And this is a whole different way. And this one is actually, it gives the body
instructions.
I was trying to pull it up while we were talking.
I have that inside.
I know what you're talking. I heard the exact, and they described how like there's almost like a covering over the protein or something.
Yeah.
And then once it's in the body, it releases or something. But like you said, I mean, the gist of it is that this vaccine was not, it doesn't act the same way as like the flu vaccine and other vaccines.
Exactly. So that right there says it is new to everyone. It's new to everyone. And that's something that we have to actually get into. Yeah. Some people may get in a prayer closet. I don't know. Whatever it is you need to do to come to some type of conclusion. I mean, a lot of times, we don't, you know how Black folks is. I hear what you're saying about the numbers. I hear what you're saying about what they say about 95% safe. We don't know until we actually see what happens. We don't know. You can make that statement, but we really, really know until we get vaccinated? You know what I mean? And how do you actually know until you get vaccinated? This is something new to everybody.
Well, it is. And I think, again, one of those choices is like, do you become, I mean, we could say guinea pig, but do you become a part of this huge, science experiment, basically?
Exactly.
Knowing that, when we're not a part of the story, when we're not a part of the experiment, they really can't say how it may impact us. Like they may have 10 years of research, but very little on us because of fear of, not taking the vaccination. And so then we're still behind the 8 ball. So I think, one of those decisions you make is, first first and foremost, like, the continued death rate, knowing that in the circles that you're in, if you travel in circles of minority people, that you're going to constantly exist in a higher risk of contracting COVID, or do you take the risk of whatever side effects may come about for the sake of science? I mean, for the sake of your health, but also whether it goes good or bad, it still contributes to the science of, how this works and gives people opportunity to make it better and better and better. So anyway.
And if I were to say anything, I would look up the immune system in DNA. It has a lot to do with look up DNA and look up the vaccines. I don't want to just push out wrong information, but I'll tell you to look it up. Look up the DNA. Look up DNA and this vaccine. And things that they've been working on for so many years. So it's and again, this is not to put fear in anyone. It's just to give them there is information out there,
most definitely,
concerning this situation. You just have to do the research. I'm not trying to put fear in anyone, because I don't think you should be moved by fear.
Most
Whether
definitely.
you do something or not do something, you shouldn't be moved by fear in this situation. You should be moved by, for me, it'll be my higher power, but to you, it may be from instructional information. It may be from information that you've educated yourself enough to understand what this new thing, what is it called? It's called this RNA.
RNA.
And that's what it's called. It's called RNA. And it says it doesn't work like a regular vaccine. I mean, so it's out there. So the information is out there for you to make an informed decision. I would ask you to pray about it. You make that decision, because you have to do what you feel is necessary for you.
And like someone was saying, they said, like, once you get this vaccination, it's no turning back.
That's right.
It's just like, whatever it does in the body, it's like, you can't, reverse whatever is going on. Like if it does cause issues down the line, it's like the doctors won't even really be able to help you. You know what I'm saying? You probably just you just probably getting more prescription medication. You probably have 30, 40, 50 of them in your house. But, so I'm just.
But I mean, what can you can say the same and even worse for COVID. It's long-term effects for COVID that they're now finding out about. It's only been out a year. So you catch COVID, you think it's done, but then later on you find out you have, respiratory issues for the rest of your life, or certain pains in your body, or memory loss, hair loss, like, you know what I mean? So it's really a double-edged sword. It really is. It really is, because, like, do you put yourself at risk for COVID, or do you put yourself at risk for whatever side effects from the vaccine? Pick your poison.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it can be based on fear. I guess that's the only thing. I want to read this real quick. It was something that I found on YouTube, but it talks about, it says, now, I'm not saying that this is the truth. I'm just saying this is something that was on YouTube, and I'm just going to read it. So it says, it gives a little bit instructions about, or description on the RNA. It says this, I'm trying to read it from my glass lip. It says, this technology creates a synthetic RNA strand that creates the antibodies so that the RNA does not need a dead virus to be injected into your arm. Instead, it will use a synthetic RNA strand to go into the body and give instructions. So that's what this thing, that's what it says. So it's almost like coding. It's almost, if you know anything about coding, it's almost, and I'm just saying, look up DNA. Look at this, and it sounds
RNA.
real.
It's RNA.
Yeah, it's RNA, but look up DNA as well. DNA has a lot to do. Just look it up. I don't want to just look up DNA and look up what this RNA strand does. And guys, listen, I'm just throwing out this information. I'm not coming to a conclusion in this area, but I'm just saying, just look it up.
Because they said that it would not really be good for a person who has underlying conditions. Really, getting that vaccination would be not for those people with bad immune systems. So for the people with good immune system, it is good for you. What it's going to do is going to make it bad. I'm trying to understand it. Why it's not good for people with bad immune systems? Why wouldn't it be good? I thought it was supposed to help people so that they could protect them.
Was it that or allergic? If they have allergic, they're allergic to different things.
I heard that, and I heard low like immune system as well.
Low, yeah. Okay. So, well, I did hear the fact of those EpiPens. Some people who have those allergic reactions to different things that they was not really good sure on
for them to get the vaccination.
But this
science is not perfect. I mean, that's the thing. Science is not perfect. It takes trial after trial after trial. I mean, so what they have is what they have at this point. But I do know that, again, like the people most susceptible to catching COVID-19 are those with underlying conditions. 65 and older. Or I mean, and that's the way that they're rolling out the vaccine in the same way. The logic is to roll out the vaccine to those that are at the most highest risk, coming all the way down. So I mean, it's going to be parallel with how this virus is disseminating itself in the population. That's how they're going to attack it. So those two things are always going to run parallel of each other.
And here's the thing, okay, so just, again, pushing out the information. Why don't we do it in the regular way or the natural, organic
I know what you're saying, not using synthetic.
Yeah, organic way that they've been using in an organic way. And is it because you're not really understanding what this thing is? Or is it because this conspiracy theory, I always got to throw that out there, because that means it's not really factual. It's not factual, but it's just opinion. In my opinion, does it mean that because this is not really a virus, and because I thought you fight a virus with the virus, but this is not fought with the virus. You get what I mean? So it's synthetic strand that's giving instructions. And my thing is that, again, that's just my opinion. It's not saying, and I have to say that for social media purposes. So guys, I'm not saying that that's factual information floating around. It makes you remember Arsenio Hall. He used to have that. It makes you go, that move. And my thing is that if it's something, I thought you fight a virus with a virus, with a dead, but if this, how can I fight something that's not a virus to a virus? So my thing is, it's just a little bit of it's kind of common sense to some degree. It's not so much, but I'm just saying it's a little common sense in some areas from what you hear. Okay, well, if why change it now? If we haven't changed it before, why change this technology now? Or are you, in my opinion, I got to keep saying that, or are you trying to play around with the DNA? So I don't know, I don't know. I guess, again, that's my opinion.
Well, if it is the case, that, I mean, just entertaining that thought, then we're going to, whatever evolution that causes in our species, it will be just that, because this vaccine is being disseminated globally. So whatever mutation, whatever evolution we experience as a collective, then we'll we'll be there. You know what I mean? Like, and I guess I'm gonna lean more towards the science of it. Because I consider myself a science buff, and I do believe in the process. And so again, it's not perfect. And anytime you're building something for the masses, best believe that there will be some failures. Like I don't. It's man-made. You know what I mean? So there's going to be a flaw. There's going to be a flaw.
But
I'm sorry, go ahead.
it should be a choice as whether a person want to deal with the failure or not. So if it get to a point where they start forcing, then that's the issue, because if you should have a choice if you want to volunteer or not.
Well, see, here's
So
the
that's the
thing.
thing.
Here's the thing, though. For me, it's more important. Like when Lovely T used the word, it's not perfect. See, here's the thing. Okay, so if I have a basketball team, if I have a team, and I get it, we're not perfect. Everybody on the team is not perfect, but we're still playing the same game. We're not perfect, but we're still playing and going by the same rules of the game. So I get it. We're not perfect, but we still playing the same game. Why do I keep saying that? Because see, here's the thing to me. Don't change the rules. If we're playing the same game and I know it's not perfect, don't change the rules to the game. Don't add this to the game. Just say, we ain't perfect, but we're gonna put this in, or we're gonna put this in. Let's keep the same rules. Let's fight a virus with the virus. If it's a virus, you know what I mean? Let's not use other technology. I'm talking about in terms of the original or organic way that you've been using to fight viruses. If it hasn't, I can see if you even made the statement, well, that doesn't work. That doesn't work anymore. We tried it and it doesn't work. So we have to try something else different. But my thing is don't change the rules to the game, because that old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So now that's when it speaks where the ear pops up. Now, wait a minute now, what's going on now? You changing the rules to the game. Nobody likes the rules to be changed when we playing this game. It's unfair now, because guess what? You know something that I don't know anymore. We get it through the old way they've been doing it. Vaccines, dead viruses, whatever they might call it. We get that. We understand it's been doing it for years. But now when you add in something else and call it science, see, that's where the fear comes in. So you're adding something else and you're calling it science, and you expect me to play the same game. Hey, we checked it out as science. No, we don't really know.
We don't know.
You see what I mean? We don't. And listen,
so we trust.
I gotta say this. I always got to keep saying this. This is my opinion. This is not factual information. I have to lay it down for social media from my perspective on both sides of the spectrum. But to some degree, some people may say, hey, this is necessary for me and my family, to go out here and get the vaccine done, because I depend and I trust on science. And nobody said you don't, but just make sure they don't change the game in science. Right. That's what I'm talking about. I get it. Just don't change the game, because now you're talking something that nobody ever heard of, even if it is.
And again, I think you make a valid point, and it really is valid in terms of people being, skeptical. But unlike that's just like, so to me, this is just like using this, continue with the sports analogy. It used to be in football, you solely depended on the referees, and now they have the replays, right? And so yes, it worked with the refs, but now they've built something that can give an even more, accurate, reflection of what happened and da 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 da. But the point is, I don't see science as necessarily like somebody coming in and saying, okay, we're going to play football a different way. What it is that through evolution, they come up with a better way to do things, a better way to inoculate, a better way to distribute vaccines. So anyway,
so this is a fact. It's the Operation Warp Speed.
Yeah.
The government invested $10 billion, and they're, along with the 60 military officials, including at least 4 generals, are involved in this leadership of the Operation Warp Speed, many of whom have never worked in healthcare or vaccine development. Just 29 of the roughly 90 leaders on the chart aren't employed by the Department of Defense, but most of them work for the Department of Health and Human Services. So just talking about how, 300 million doses of coronavirus vaccine by January. That's how much they want to be able to distribute. And this is dealing with the military as well.
And I thought they said Moderna have never dealt with vaccines before. This will be their first time ever dealing with vaccines in history. They've done other things, but more with this modern technology, I might call it. Because anytime you use the word instructional, it gives instructions. Now it's coding.
In your body.
That's technology talking. You're talking something different in terms of the DNA. Just look up DNA and look at it. It's going to use the same similar definitions and different things of coding and instructions and with the DNA. I mean, so again, this is just my opinion. I got to keep saying that it's not factual information. Some of it is. You just got to do
I'm finding
online.
is factual.
Yeah, some stuff is factual.
And then a lot of people are going to be getting. Let's talk about $80 billion from like the stock. I mean, this is thing going to be on the stock market. So this is even though it's supposed to be a thing to help, but it's also a money thing.
Yeah.
So we can't get past that. It's
my thing is though, and that's what I said in the beginning, like, so are we going to, those of us that choose to, wait or not take it at all, are you committed to doing those other things that reduce the risk of spread and you know what I'm saying? Contamination is the word that's coming out of my mouth, but that's not.
Well, they said that even though you get it, you still have to wear your mask and everything, and still do social distancing. So what's the? I mean,
well, until herd immunity sets in, where there's so many people that has gotten a vaccine, then until then they probably will have to wear masks. Until, I mean, that's what they're saying. We're using the word science. That's what they're saying out there now. But we don't. I guess this is a waiting and a guessing game. For everyone. We don't know. But we're gonna know. We're gonna know. We're gonna know.
Time is the great equalizer.
That's right. That's my biggest word. Time is.
I thought I seen a comment, and I don't know where.
Time tells the truth about everything that's going on, and I guess it's I can't play doctor. I'm not a doctor. Don't even want to be a doctor.
Not right now.
Yeah, that's right. So, but my thing is that we caught in this place. It's like just through me. Through my mindset, I've always thought about what this one guy said about how things go in this world is always cause, reaction, solution. You look that up yourself. I'm not even going to tell you what that means, but look up cause, reaction, solution. It gets into some things, and I'm just going to throw it out there like that. We don't know, guys. We're just talking. That we're having a conversation about what's going on. There's still a fear in Black community, in the Black community, Black and brown community, where it's uncertainty all day long. But I know decisions are going to have to be made. Decisions are going to have to be made one way or another. And I guess it's going to have to be you. Just don't take people's word for it. Don't take my word. Don't take my word for it. Just you do the research for you. Pray about it. I've always tell people to pray about it. You go to your higher power and see what that is, or do your research if you don't go to a higher power, whatever it is you do, but just come to some clarity in your own mind about, hey, listen, I feel good about it this way, or I feel good about it that way. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's going to have to be up to you. It's going to have to be up to you at the end of the day.
So I heard it was a nurse that got the vaccination, and she said, she felt so relieved. And and so I wonder what made her feel so relieved.
Well, we don't.
She working around.
Oh yeah.
COVID every day.
Most definitely.
Yeah, fear is set in so strong.
Yeah.
But I mean, is that fear? Is that common sense? Like.
I mean, my thing is everything to me is always driven by emotion. Whatever it is you do is driven by some type of emotion.
If she see people that's dying around her, that's going to make her afraid. Fear
is down the line there to say, I don't want this because of this and that, and I might die. You know what I mean? So, so it's pushed out, and then she's seeing it. I mean,
Yeah.
see, here's the thing. COVID is a real thing.
Yeah, most
People
definitely.
are dying from COVID.
Yeah.
This is not a fake thing. This is a
Right.
real deal.
Yeah.
This is a real deal. Whether it's man-made or whether it's whatever, however it came, is real.
It's killing people.
It's killing people.
Yes.
And we send our condolences out to
yes.
Benny Napoleon family.
Most
I was terribly saddened about that.
Yes.
It's something
It's
to
been
me.
a lot of people,
Yeah.
you know, just within individual families too.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
behind it this past couple weeks.
Yeah, but I don't
Yeah.
want to just deflect from the fact that he died.
Yeah.
He was a great man, officer serving.
Serving all his life.
Yeah, he did a whole lot
Yeah.
in this community. Even ran for a mayor.
Mayor, yeah.
Upstanding guy, and you know, our condolences
Yes,
go out
most
to
definitely.
that family. We
Most
praying for
definitely.
that family. I've been praying for that family.
Yes.
So you know, I felt so bad when I heard about it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So we definitely send out our condolences
Yes, we do.
to
From the
their
round
family,
table,
from the
yes.
round table family. So guys, there are people out there. It is happening. It is happening.
Yes,
So we
yes.
have some decisions that we have to make. There's
Yes,
some decisions, some
definitely.
hard decisions
Yeah,
that we
very
have to
hard.
make. And so that's what I'm saying. You owe it to yourself to do the research, to get
Yeah.
an understanding of whatever. I got to go biblical. The Bible said, "All thy getting, get understanding," which he
Yes.
meant was the word. But you should get understanding of whatever it is you do, and don't just make a quick decision, but get an understanding. And whatever you do, try not as much as possible to base it on fear. Don't look at the logic of it. Don't base it on fear. Because you go, you know, sometimes if you look at the news so much and you hear all these people are dying and cases are going up, you just run out without thinking. Just, you know, listen, just calm down. You know, get into a place, just do the research, because you can think better when you calm. You know, when you reacting based on emotion, then sometimes we can make some decisions that we regret. I think a lot of us made decisions that we were due to emotions that we regret now. So that's what I'm saying. So just take your time, do the research. Get in your prayer closet, whatever it is you do, and go to your higher power and ask him, you know what I mean? What should I do? And then if you still didn't get the answer, wait on them. You know what I mean? So wait on them. And then when you feel it is necessary to make whatever decision is you make the decision, because guess what? You have to make a decision. That's a fact right there. That's not conspiracy theory. You have to make a decision. So hopefully it's the best one for you and your family. And we'll leave it like that, guys. We'll end this podcast saying that, guys, be safe.
Be safe. Happy
Take
holidays.
care of yourself. That's right. Here, get the information that you need to get concerning all of this. And sometimes we gotta take a break from this news. We gotta take a break from news. Sometimes to put you in a whole nother mode.
It sure will.
It seems like all you hear is just bad.
And then some people like to turn it on as soon as you open your eyes, and you know, you like,
that's me. But I don't.
I do it too.
Yeah, you know.
Early
I like to know what's going. Well, the Bible says watch and pray, so you should always be watching and praying. Not just you don't even know what you're praying for if you ain't watching for nothing. You know what I mean? So you should be watching and praying. It makes sense to do that. And you know, that's just not just meaning watching what's going on, but even with you yourself. But guys, listen, we'll end it like that. I digress.
Definitely.
We end it like that.
Yes,
and
guys.
we just be safe,
be
like,
safe out
share.
there.
Yes.
Guys, we'll see you next Sunday
Yes.
at 4:45.
That's right.
Guys, we got another hot topic that we'll be coming up with. Come on, join us next Sunday at 4:45. And
That's right.
we'll see you then.
Yes.
Lovely T, stay on real quick.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, so guys, we'll see you soon.
Have a lovely day.